Right now.
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 Because it's time to right now.
Right now.
Right now. Welcome, my friends, to another weekly Writers Group meeting. You found yourself at the Right Now Writers Group. This is our Wednesday night meeting where we meet every week to do the things that writers like to do: procrastinate, talk about writing, and maybe, just maybe, get a little bit of work and progress in on our storytelling. So make sure to come join us because we start at the same time every week. Megan, Emily, ML, great to see you guys. If you have something on your mind and you're like, hey, I feel like this writing thing is on my mind right now, drop a comment. We would love to hear. We would love to join you in the conversation because we kind of just, this is a very casual experience. By the way, today, stick around. We're going to do a couple writing sprints. We'll do 2 writing sprints after we see what is on our minds. And by the way, welcome. I'm Kaufman, daily writing streamer, on a mission to help you with finishing your book. Because as we know, with the community, it is so much easier. So we're starting right now. Now, our Wednesday Writers Group is always an open invite to any writers who want to join us. So let me kick it over to my fellow writers to make an intro. Who you are, what you're working on today. All right, so
everyone knows me as Chat Soul. If I seem distracted, it's actually from drawing right now. I've been feeling a writing vibe, but really been wanting to get some drawing in.
So your mic is going a little in and out, FYI.
Yeah, I'm still hearing that echo.
Mm-hmm. I'm hearing the echo on your end.
Really? It's just okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you might try refreshing it, see if it helps or not. We might just be dealing with tech gremlins today. You guys know, same old. Well, while you're having fun with that, I'll kick it over to you, Calvin.
Hey guys, it's Calvin. As you know, I'm working on Storm, and soon within next year, the second Storm book will be out.
So exciting! So exciting, Calvin. I'm like so happy for your progress. I'm so happy with how much you've yourself. You're motivating me. Awesome. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah. Now we can.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of strange. Each of your audio is kind of like back and forth to make sure that mine. I don't know. Maybe it's just the studio today.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. The white noise is gone that I was hearing, and I'm still hearing massive echo.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's like a feedback voice.
Yeah, I'm kind of hearing that as well. All right. Well, Kara, I'll kick it over to you. You want to just quick intro who you are and what you're working on today?
Okay. Oh my gosh, I hear myself echoing. I'm Kara Hartley. I write dark fantasy as C.L. Hart and naughty stuff as Will DeVille.
Ooh, we absolutely love that. I feel like you're going to bring a nice writing dynamic to all the different things we're working on here. Everyone knows I'm pure up my straight fantasy nerddom over here. Calvin with your sci-fi and Chat Soul with your writing fan fiction journey right now. Procrastinating from finishing the book 3. Awesome. And all right, so with that, let's see. So I think we got, let's see, bear with me just a second. And what's this? I feel like, wait, do you guys see that? I'm hearing some type of like technical glitch going on. Do you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Right now. It's time.
So sorry to interrupt. My name is Crazy Root Beer. Some of you have heard of me. Lovely. Now, what you may not have heard is that there's some rumors going around that dear old Crazy is supposed to return to the writers group. That's not true. Of course not. No. But even if that weren't not true, You wouldn't be excited about that, would you? Doesn't matter because it's not happening. If it were, I would have a root beer in my hand. Right here. Preferably bark. As you were.
Hello. Hope y'all missed me because I am back and crazier than usual. Hope you all enjoy.
Crazy. Welcome back, my friend. So good to have you returning and joining us. And I was like, of course, the stream where you rejoin us, we're having all the crazy technical difficulties.
It's like magic.
Oh man. Well, crazy. Now that you're back, what are you going to try to? What are you going to be working on?
I still have loads of books to either finish or maybe continue writing. I did have the idea to, um, like for instance, for the Razio Chronicles trilogy, to put all of those books into one, make it a second edition, and kind of fix the spacing a little bit and whatnot. And for some reason, when I thought about doing that, I also thought, well, heck, if you're gonna do that, what if that means that you could do two more Razio Chronicles books? But then I'm like, yeah, maybe not. But I don't know how I'm gonna make put them all together. Like, I know for the Razio Chronicles, I'll put three books together. But for the other books, I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. Right now, I'm just focusing on writing the other books and finishing them. And hello all.
Well, I think that's always the challenge. I think it's always interesting as where we're all at kind of different parts, it seems like, of the writing process, writing journey right now. I'm kind of curious, when you guys are thinking about your projects or when you're thinking about your writing in general, do you feel like, and this is something I'm struggling with, so I would actually love your guys' thoughts on this. When you're thinking of your next project or the one that you're working on, do you have a set timeline in your head of like, it has to be done by this date? Or I want it to be done as soon as possible? And does that like help you motivate, demotivate, ensure more procrastination? I'd love to hear.
I'll say for myself, Pirates actually does have a specific deadline, which is why I'm so hard on myself about it and procrastinating with it. Aside from that, I don't have a concrete deadline for any of the others. Just get it done.
Hey, Kaufman, I noticed your screen is replaying all of our voices. That's probably why we're getting a feedback.
What's up?
If you look at the bottom of your screen, as I'm talking, it's talking on your screen. That's probably why we're hearing the double voices. Forget it.
No, sorry. What'd you say? One more time?
I think your share screen is hearing my voice and everyone else's voices and replaying it double. That's why when like you talk, we don't hear that. There you go.
Hey.
Is that better?
Yeah, I'm not hearing myself. That was like the most horrible.
Because I opened up the screen share for the video.
I knew it was gonna be that reason.
That's interesting because I didn't have it on stage, but you're right. It still had the audio. Wow.
I just noticed at the bottom as Soul was talking, your screen thing was
had the audio.
I'm like, that's gotta be where the problem is.
Man, Calvin, you're so smart. You're so smart.
He's so smart, man.
Like, guys, how many writers does it take to fix an audio issue?
5.
Apparently 4 of us paying attention.
Oh man, so thank you for that. And by the way, if you're watching the stream right now, just let us know if you can hear us better. Hopefully that fixed our audio issues, our crazy audio technical glitches today. So yeah,
I know.
And by the way, Dana Green, welcome all the way over from Maine. We love having new writers in the chat. What type of writer are you? What are you working on? Or is there a genre preference? We have all types of writers here. And let's see. So to answer my timeline question, and you guys all know, I've been making an anticipated timeline for my book, The Last Scarecrow. When I look back at it, it took me exactly a year to write the rough draft. When I thought about the second draft, I'm like, okay, 6 months. It's going to take about a year and 3 months. So a little longer for the second draft. And I really thought it would be shorter because I think I ended up doing more rewriting than I anticipated. And then that with the live streaming schedule has made it very challenging. So I think all in all, Scarecrow will probably be about a 2.5 year project is my thing of book one anyways.
I don't like
Year though.
I don't like having timelines for when I write because I feel like if I give myself a timeline,
Mhm.
while on one hand that encourages me to write to stick to a timeline to get it done, the problem is my biggest thing is that crap, it's got to be done in a month. So I'm going to start cutting corners and it will not be as flushed out as it should be because I decided to, hey, skip around to beta readers, or no, I'm not going to bother getting an editor, not because I can't afford one, but because I don't have the time to go back and do all the edits. That's why I don't give myself a timeline. I don't give myself a timeline until the story is done, and then I'll give myself a launch date. That's it.
And
Makes
when you say the story is done, do you mean final draft has already been proofread, is all ready to go?
Done. I mean, the most I'm doing is like when I did the launch for Storm 1 for the first Storm Chronicles, I had the June 15th, but I got a couple proof copies, and then I would thumb my way through them looking for mistakes or things that didn't line up. Like, that doesn't sound as right now that I'm looking back at it. I have to go back and fix it.
Okay.
But,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense. What about the rest of you guys?
It depends. Like, having a deadline can help me to move forward on a project, but it can also do kind of like Calvin said, where I will start taking shortcuts with what I'm writing just to get that word count there and satisfy that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I feel like, and I mean, we see this, authors do this all the time, right? Where, especially like well-known authors, right? Where the readers want the next book and like, oh yeah, it's going to be out, it's going to be done by this. And then it doesn't come out. And I mean, I think we're all in easier positions that we don't have large readerships with high expectations and high demands, right? Maybe we'll be there eventually, but at this point in time right now, there's less pressure from a publisher, less pressure from readership, right? Where if you're pulling in an income from your books or you're on a deadline, like you got to get the stuff out or you don't get paid. So it becomes a little bit of a different struggle.
Well, the difference between us and most of your well-known authors is we're doomsday authors, which means we can just keep saying it's coming and coming, coming. People just be like, oh, it's coming when they say next. It's coming when they say next. It's there. See, they said it, and they act like it's the first time we said that.
Calvin, I absolutely love that. Our group nickname are the Doomsday Authors.
Yes.
Incredible. I want to use that somewhere and I don't even know where. That's an incredible. All right, guys. The Right Now Writers Group will be rebranded as the Doomsday Writers Group.
So it shall be done.
Oh man, well I think that's absolutely phenomenal, and I can tell here in the chat we had a couple of you weigh in. I know Lynn said timeline question. Yes, I set time goals and use that date to calculate how many words I need to write each day. That's actually really, really smart, Lynn. You're using the timeline as your writing mechanism. Now I think obviously Lynn's published a number of books, so you obviously know what your process is once the early drafts are done into the editing stage and revision. But I always ask myself, how much time do we then give ourselves once the core draft is done? How much time do we give ourselves for editing, revisions, proofread, and then every single manuscript's going to be different. So it's kind of interesting. Thank you for weighing in. I know Emily said, no, not really for the timeline of stories to write, to be honest. It depends on the genres to write for me. Excellent. And then, by the way, Dana, you're like working on a Western for a magazine that has published my prior short stories. Ooh, a Western writer. I love it. I don't think I have any Western writers. Very, very cool. I was like, I haven't read too many Westerns, but they definitely have their own unique genre. I think some of my favorite Westerns are more like sci-fi Western or space. I like the idea of the space cowboy. Let's see, Megan, you're like, no timeline at the moment, just got different story ideas and gathering ideas. But I did write a poem inspired by Whitewater's supernatural lore. Ooh. Wrote the other day when it came across an article about witches and spooks in Whitewater. Ooh. Thinking of spooky season. Any of you guys gonna write anything spooky, supernatural, scary, mysterious for our upcoming, for just October, Halloween in general? Fiction contest aside, just in general, you guys gonna do anything on that front?
Probably not. I've got enough.
I submitted a short story to the Krampus anthology that the Two of Crones, which is Nicole Ford Thomas and
Yep,
Sarah Brody, are doing. So I
yep.
submitted one for that.
Super cool. And by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, Nicole and they did, I think they did their first anthology. I think that was last year, and it was really successful. This with Krampus. Nicole Thomas Ford was one of the judges who joined us during the Faded Fantasy competition. So she was one of the judges. Very, very incredible. And definitely looking forward to that anthology as well. You guys all know, right? Anytime we can do things to help us write more, I think is always a win. Yeah, I feel like it's like trying to find like other ways to motivate us to write. Do you guys find anthologies or writing competitions help motivate you guys more?
Not for me. I mean, right now with everything, I'm just working on Storm 2, wanting to get to Storm 3. So
I actually found the last contest to really encourage me. So
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because like I think for me personally, like I always ask myself like, okay, I really want to work on like a long project and I really want to work on these long projects where I can spend obviously years or amount of time developing the characters, the world, and the stories. But something that I found really, really impressive, and I think I shared this stat previously, but something I found really, really impressive is out of all the writers who submitted to our first two writing competitions that we've done here on the Right Now channel, I want to say I think about 30% of those writers have turned those stories into longer works longer works. They've either expanded or revised them to some way, shape, or form. I was like, that's actually kind of cool. And I think it just goes to show that we don't know what type of project is going to come until we start working on it.
writing contests can be sometimes good for like I was just going to comment that writing contests can sometimes be good for igniting that passion in people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if they don't get a win, if they get like maybe an honorable mention, that can be like, hey, I could actually write something much more longer and much more bigger.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I ask myself after I'm done with a Scarecrow if I should do. I know people have recommended doing like maybe like shorts, maybe doing like a few short stories or things too, as an intermediary between books 1 and 2. I've considered that. Do you guys find that do you guys try to expand your universes out into other stories? Have you guys tried that?
Not outside of
Um,
my fan fictions. I am for my fan fiction, since they're all in One Piece, I tend to keep locations, original characters that I've made. I try to keep those consistent against all of those. For my original works, however, I have considered that, but I haven't actually done anything yet.
Mm,
I've kind of kept all of my characters in one universe so far, and I do have already. I have had an idea already for one of the future books after I'm done with this main series. One of my future books that I'll probably only have like one person from my original series kind of pop in and like kind of like a guest star kind of deal that will
mm.
have nothing to do with the original story and stuff. She'll just pop in and stuff for the one book.
That's kind of cool. So it's like a
Which
standout, like a cameo. It's like a standout
yeah,
cameo.
like a cameo. It'll be a part of a anthology
Hmm.
series that I'm been thinking about writing and stuff.
Do I'm kind of curious. I do you guys feel that writers ever create stories or universes with the intent for to be able to tell more stories or to be able to create more from the universe? Or do you feel like a lot of time writers just start like at one story and this is the story I want to tell?
I think it depends on exactly what they want to write. I think some authors do go into it, yeah, this universe I want to keep using over and over and over. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's other, and then I think most of them are probably like, okay, I just want to do this specific story.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the universe continues and it's something they're doing, but they didn't plan for it.
Interesting.
I think it also depends on if the writer feels if there's a demand for more story in that universe, more things to be
That's
going
good.
on. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I can't remember her name, but the woman who did the Shadowhunter series has basically evolved into like 5 different story paths.
That's a really good point, and it's like a whole like expanded universe. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right. It really started from
told
one
from
core
other
story.
told from other still in the same universe, but it's told from other people's points of view who maybe were introduced in other books.
Mm-hmm.
But again, at the end of the day, is we're going to keep writing as long as there's a demand for the story. If there's no demand for the universe, why would we really keep expanding it?
It's a good question. It's a really good call out.
Kind of like that with my little universe is that I just want to do that one story and that's it. But if there's like that high demand for more, fine, I'll do it. But otherwise, I'm just more focused on that one storyline and that's it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I started Scarecrow. I started 2-page free write off of an idea. I think I started the original story because I just wanted to see what would happen if a crow took a scarecrow's hat. And then 5 or so chapters into it, I was like, well, I think there's a story here through a really cool world. And then I expanded it out into what it is today. But I think about a third of the way through the rough draft is when I made the decision of I want to there's a story here that I want to tell, and I think it's a really good story that I'm interested in and I think others would be interested in. And then I think when I got about 60% through the rough draft, I'm like, this is actually a really interesting world with a lot of really interesting characters. So I think once I got past that 60% mark of the original draft, I realized I think there's an opportunity here for so many other character types for other stories to be told to expand the universe eventually. So I feel like I kind of went through that learning or that like kind of growth evolution journey. But Calvin, like you said, I mean, if nobody wants the universe, then it doesn't matter.
I mean, the problem is when you start branching out beyond the main storyline, you're taking a chance because you're basically expanding your universe. The question is anyone going to
Mm-hmm.
care? Some people may have only read those original books because they like those original characters. Now expanding out might be like, I don't really care for these characters.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean, I think it also comes into. I think we're also taking into consideration if the core story is done yet, if it's been told,
Yeah.
right? So then it's like if the core story hasn't been finished, and then you're coming out with side quests, cough Game of Thrones, then the question, then there's a very clear imbalance between it. But I mean, once the core story has been told, then it's like, okay, well, did people care about that core story, or were they interested in the cast of characters or the world itself? Was there enough interest?
Sometimes I think writers are also some writers, like the woman who wrote Twilight. I can't think of her name.
Stephanie
Stephanie
Meyer.
Meyer.
Thank you. I should have known that. But I think I think after she wrote The Host and that wasn't received very well, she was afraid to move beyond Twilight, which is why she went back, wrote a short story about the one girl, Brie Larson, I think was her name, her life, and then she wrote that gender bender swap for the first novel.
I always forget about that thing.
I didn't even know it existed until I was doing some research and I happened to like, God, can this woman move beyond this story?
I didn't even know that she did something after The Host. I knew that
Oh, she
obviously
did it.
Twilight was well received, and then The
Well,
Host was like mixed. The Host was just all right.
well, she didn't really move on though after The Host. She went right back to Twilight and just started like, okay, how many different ways can I retell versions of Twilight?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess there's definitely a factor, right? When you're published, you're well known, and you have expectations with deadlines. But I mean, I think of authors who've just been consistent and just keep trying different things, or just keep trying because I think even if something fails or flops, like you have to. I think you just have to keep going until you have something that does work. I mean, look at Stephen King.
Stephen
He's
King.
written like a thousand books, and not all of them are great. But you can expect that he will keep his team and himself keep writing scary books, and some of them are really great. Some of them are very mediocre, and some of them suck. And all of them are going to be expanded into a live action movie or TV series at some point.
And plus,
Love
if you
him, hate
think,
him, he has reached the pinnacle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
and plus,
How
if
cool
you
would it?
really think about it,
Mhm.
going back in time here, that there's always that part that could be a little bit scary of like when people are obsessed with your world, the world that you give everybody, and they're like, do another one, and you'll go ahead and do it, but then they'll probably turn around and go like, oh, well, this one kind of stunk. Well, it's like, well, you asked for it, you know? So what else did you expect? I mean, I wasn't really planning on doing another one, but you people are the ones that kept asking about it. So I gave what you wanted, but apparently you're still not satisfied. What do you want me to do?
Crazy. Are you saying that people don't know what they want?
Bingo.
Do they ever?
Oh, you have to give readers what you have to give readers something that is the exact same of a lot of things they've read, but different.
Yep.
It's
Just same stuff, new pen.
age old thing, right? That all the stories that we've written, we actually there's that idea that nothing is original because everything's been done already.
Yep, exactly.
Mm. So then the task really becomes how do I create something that is just my own unique spin on it that people haven't in this day and age haven't heard about yet.
The best you could do
And
is
that's
just
when you gotta do
sometimes
research.
not, well, that, and sometimes you just gotta try very hard not to do the continuous cliches that have happened over and over again throughout the years, and just
Mhm.
kind of not do those cliches and ignore them completely and just find a way around it.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting because when you start thinking about cliches, you start thinking about tropes, stereotypes. The reason that they became overused is because they were popular to begin with, right?
Mhm.
So they, when we think of popular tropes, they become overused, and then people only get bored of them because they don't. It's been done to death, so to
Mhm.
speak.
That's the
But
problem
Let
with using
if there's a good
popular tropes.
story, if there's like a good telling of it, people will be all the more for that storytelling. But it still has to be a unique enough spin that doesn't feel like it's the same.
Mhm.
Well, that's part of the problem with using popular tropes. I mean, you're going to run into if the problem is a lot of times is like you start using a trope at the height of its popularity. By the time you're more than likely done, that trope has run its course, and no
Mhm.
Yeah.
one wants to be like, great, we're tired of books with that trope. We don't want it anymore.
And then you get that part where they'll look back and be like, "Well, this aged poorly, didn't it? This aged so well."
So it's interesting because then it almost feels like it comes down to a goal of that you want to use either a trope that has been in decline because you can revitalize a trope, um, a trope that hasn't been used in a long time, right? And this is like a
I
popular
go that
strategy.
way.
Use things from like a previous, use things that worked 10, 20, 30 years ago because you know it worked. Now you're just bringing it forward to a new audience.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Like, all right, I'm going to go back into.
I mean, I'd rather use tropes that haven't been used in a while because then more likely it's much more easier to revitalize them. If you're talking about a trope that's going down and you want to revitalize it, I don't know what you have to do to revitalize that becomes so like you've got to put out the best book anyone's ever written of that genre.
Yet we see so many writers and novels use very popular tropes time and time again because they think that their spin, their twist, is enough.
True.
And then that in itself becomes the question. Becomes the debate, right? For 1 out of every 10 trope attempts, one of them is twisty and enough and cool. But then the other 9 are okay, it's been done
I've
again.
read it 1,000 times.
Exactly. I see this so many times when I watch like scary movies. They've been done so many times again, and sometimes they stand out because I've always appreciated horror movies.
Well,
But they're just redone over and over.
Well, it depends on how they use the tropes. My daughter and I watched the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix, and
Yeah,
to be
I
honest,
remember that one.
I like the fact that they had brought back a lot of those '90s tropes. Then when they did the second one in the '80s, they brought back a lot of the '80s tropes. It didn't feel overdone. It actually felt more like paying homage to the old '80s and '90s movies.
I actually think that's why Stranger Things did well originally because Stranger Things went back to what was that, 70s or 80s?
I think the '80s.
I think it was
Yeah,
eight.
that was too.
The first season was very much felt like it was an '80s vibe, and I think that's one of the reasons it was successful, and it blew up in the beginning. And then Megan, definitely love your comment, Megan. You said you need to know how to execute the trope, scene, and situation. It all
Definitely.
comes down to the execution.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I ask myself if, let's say, someone has a really bad idea. Let's say it's like horrible idea. If you take a writer who is very skilled and they execute on it effectively, can a skilled writer turn a very bad idea into gold?
We've seen mediocre writers turn very bad ideas into gold. So, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't care for the Twilight 50 Shades of the 50 Shades of Grey. I don't care for it. But you know what?
It was very popular, right?
It sold millions. It sold millions. Got made into 3 movies, and who knows what else they're going to do with it. So,
Oh, good lord!
The 50 Shades universe.
But as much as I hate it, I have to admire the person that you reached the pinnacle. Again, you've gone where very few of us are able to go. So to answer your question, yes, anyone can take bad tropes and make them into gold. It just really depends on, can you find a target audience? You could write the best book in the world, but if it's got no audience to read it, what good does it do?
Yeah. I guess that's a really good point.
I mean, when you think about it, to make any book successful, you need an audience, but you need something that the audience wants.
So then the question becomes, what does the audience want? What does the readership want?
They,
And I
Well, if
can
I did that,
answer
I'd be a
this.
damn mind reader.
No, I can
I was
answer
gonna
this.
say they don't know what they
Why
want.
not? It was like a rhetorical question. What does the readership or the audience want? If you can boil it down to
I
the
know.
easiest thing, they want to feel something. They want to feel something.
Yep.
So the question then becomes, how do I make them feel something? And if you've done it
Yes.
1,000 times, if they've read it 1,000 times, they're probably not going to feel something. If they've read it 1,000 times and this is the newest thing and it feels like there's a twist enough, they might feel something. If it feels completely original, they will most likely feel something. So I think that then becomes the goal and the challenge then, right?
There's also the fourth thing where if it takes them back to a memory and they feel something.
There you go. And that is one of the exact reasons why franchises do so well and that why they keep putting out stuff. Because, I mean, think of like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. They know that they keep coming out with stuff and they're trying to cater to the first time that we experience something because that first time was some type of emotional win or emotional high. So they're trying to target the way that we felt when we originally saw it. I would definitely agree with that. Okay, so I think that is an excellent conversation. Let's take a little breather in the conversation and do a writing sprint. So let's try to get some work. Let's try to get in a little bit of productivity if we're able to manage that today. But first, if you're enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe. We're here every day with the Right Now community. If you're looking for more writing motivation, if you want to come hang out with other writers, if you're wanting workshops, critique groups, fiction contests, conferences, or so much more, then this is the place to come. So make sure to tap that follow or subscribe button, and you'll be alerted when we go live. All right, my friends. So let me queue up the writing sprint. Let's see. I think what are we at on time? 45. Yeah. Okay. So like I said, we'll do 2 sprints. I think we'll start off with a 30-minute sprint. Super easy. So get into the vibe and we'll see how it goes. All right. And I think I am already on my end. All right, perfect. So I am all ready. Let's try to see just how many words we can get in. Let's see how many ideas, or let's just try to see if we can get something in. So we're all going to write together. We'll come back in 30 minutes. We'll catch up and we'll see just how everyone did. So whether you are writing, brainstorming, editing, rewriting, or you're just hanging out, come join us because it's time to write now. All right. And that is the writing sprint. How did you guys do? Were you able to make any progress that time? We would love to hear from you. Drop a comment, let us know. Hopefully you were able to make some a little bit of progress. I felt pretty consistent that time actually. I was pretty good. I was feeling so whatever about what I was doing yesterday, but today I kind of like went back through it and I was like fixing some that stuff and it's sounding a little bit better. I'm happy with it. Definitely on a hard part for sure, or harder. How about the rest of you guys?
Yeah, about 750, 760 words this time. And that was actually getting a little distracted too.
Nice, nice, nice. Hey, 750, 760 is still good. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
I think I went through about 800 of revised.
I got about 300 words. Had to kind of get back into the story after not looking at it for a few days, and I had a bit of a new idea about how I wanted to proceed with it. So it's like kind of anything but some win at this point.
Well, I feel like you were able to make some progress. Sounds like you pushed yourself, which is great.
Yeah,
Hmm. What about you, Crazy?
Mostly, I was just kind of brainstorming, kind of go because I had to go back and be like, okay, where did I leave off? What books have I written? What books have I not gotten done yet? Just kind of brainstorming of what I should do, either to focus on doing the second edition of the Raziel Chronicles or finish the two books I never finished, which
Mm,
looked like they were almost done, but I don't know. Just kind of there.
it's a good question. I mean, when we have a line of books already in a catalog, question then becomes: do we go back and update and do newer editions, or continue
Mhm.
on with new stories?
And I know that um, obviously both will be done eventually. It's just
Hmm.
that first moment of like, which one should I do first,
Hmm.
kind of deal. Is always
Yeah,
the struggle
that
part.
makes sense. Hmm. That totally makes sense. Yeah, and I mean, I think I think it's kind of hard to determine. I think, Crazy, if I were in your position, I would ask, what's your goal? Because I think it will really come down to what your goal is with your writing, right? So it's like if the goal is to gain new readers, then new stuff. If your goal is to focus on clarifying or building up your brand as an author, then it might be beholden to do some second editions.
True,
So I
true.
think they're both for different reasons.
Yeah, that is true.
Hmm. Yeah, I've asked myself the same thing because I mean, the if you think about it, the more that we write or the more books we come out with, the more that will improve and the more that will get better over time. Like
Yeah,
every single book we write, you become that much better just for having written the book. Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like I've become a better writer just since I started Scarecrow. It's crazy. And I feel like every single thing pushes me to be better. I think back to the first day of 2024 when I started it. And now as we're getting close to the end of 2025, and it's just crazy. Crazy to think about.
yes, indeed. It's going by so fast.
And it looks like we got some good progress. We got some words in here in the chat. Let's see, Megan with 484, Emily about 110, Lynn about 300 words of outlining. Excellent, 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 my friends. So it's kind of interesting when you guys think about when you guys are thinking about scenes, and this is probably what's on my mind because this is what I'm writing. Do you guys find that there always has to be a balance of action, crazy scene, and a low stakes, like an easy like talking scene? You guys feel like there has to be like a really good balance for the reader to
Yeah,
have an experience?
I mean,
I
it
think
is.
it varies from series to series. I think some and probably even like moment to moment. It's
Mhm.
just if you have something that is more action based,
Mhm.
yeah, no, you're gonna want to have a little bit more action. But if you've got something that's more introspective or whatever, yeah, you're probably gonna want a little less action, a little more thought or something.
Mm. I think I've been asking
Yeah,
myself
so
that. What were you saying, Kara?
just like I was agreeing, it varies kind of from story to story, even because I've written some where it's more of a psychological horror
Mhm.
thriller where there's not a whole lot of um, chance for the characters to reflect on things. They're just being pushed from one thing to the
Mhm.
next. And then there's other stories where there's a lot more kind of opportunities for slice of life things even.
Mm. That's a good point. Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess it's really genre contingent, which that definitely makes sense. Hmm. Yeah, I'm also, yeah, I don't know. Mm.
I mean, granted, I agree with both of them, but I'm more of like, yes, you can have, a lot of action and a lot of talking and kind of mix them up and to get together a little bit, but kind of have those ways of like have that action, but then kind of still have those talking to give everybody kind of a breathing room so that you know what's going on instead of it just being action, action, action. It's like give them some breathing room.
Hmm. Yeah, that's kind of the approach that I've taken as
Hmm.
well, because I feel like if you have like a lot of like or maybe more like high emotional
Yeah.
moment scenes,
Hmm.
readers almost need like a chance to like take a breath, regardless of like which genre it is, right? So I guess it'd
Yeah.
probably be more high stakes and then low stakes scenes would be
Yeah.
the balance.
Balance. Perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Balance with the force.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh man. Well, I feel pretty good, and also I think I'm on a really good part with this with where I'm at with writing. So let's push ourselves back into the writing sprint. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah, I
Writing
can't.
sprint number 2. I believe in us. I'm feeling super consistent too. So with that, let's do another 30-minute writing sprint, and let's push. Throw this back up here. Do the screen share, and we're going to continue on. So we're going straight back into it. Another 30 minutes on the clock. I believe in us. Whether you're brainstorming, writing, editing, revising, come join us. Let's get some words in because it's time to write now. All right, my friends, that is the writing sprint. Nice. Writing sprint number 2. I felt pretty good about that sprint actually. I definitely got into a good flow state. Yesterday I was like struggling hardcore. Yesterday. And today I just feel like I'm in it. I'm doing pretty good and I know the direction. Finally connected the chapter. It's kind of nice. I did so much more rewriting this draft that I really wasn't anticipating. And I'm at the part of the book where like the writing and the plotting is catching up to where I had planned it out, where it's just more in depth and more complex. I'm happy. How'd it treat the rest of you guys? If you're here in the chat, were you able to get any words in? Hopefully some words, hopefully some ideas, any writing motivation. We'd love to hear. Drop a comment. How'd it treat the rest of you guys here? You're muted, so.
Not as much writing this time, but more research.
Nice. Research is just as important. Just as important. I feel like a lot of times writers will undervalue the importance of brainstorming, researching, and author branding stuff if it's not like writing. But it's all about balance, right? If you don't research, the book's not going to be accurate. You don't do the branding stuff, people don't find out about the book. You don't come up with new ideas, your book's going to be boring. So all absolutely important. Well, what about you two? Any luck on your end, Crazy or Kara?
600.
Nice. 600, nice. That feels like a win. That's awesome. Really, really happy.
Yeah.
I find for me, and I mean, obviously I know I stream every day, but the feedback that I've heard from a lot of the writers who show up to the writers groups, and so you can probably attest as well, that it feels like it's like a really helpful motivation just to like come to writers group and just to like get ourselves to write more. So what about you, Crazy? Any luck?
Well, yes, actually. I finally decided after multiple headaches of trying to decide that I was going to work on the Raziel Chronicles second edition.
Ooh,
And
okay.
when I started writing it and stuff, I ended up adding new details to certain things that after rereading it, I was like, there's like a big chunk that seems to be missing there. Like, go from this moment and then later, and it's like, wait, what happened? What happened after that? But so I added a bit more details, so I'm sure I'll be able to do that for it. So that felt pretty good.
That's really cool. Is Crazy? I know you have a number of books out for your series. Are any of them out or published on Amazon or through a website?
No, it's mostly they are all on Inkit.
Inkit. Gotcha. I always
Yes,
forget where like writers put their stuff. Hmm.
that is all right because I I would love to get mine published, but I wouldn't know exactly how to do it. No matter how many times people tell me how I could do it, my brain just automatically a few seconds later, I forget what to do. So I just stayed with Inca and was like, we'll just take it from there and we'll see what happens.
That works.
It's the
Is
best I can
Inkit
do.
a purely? I'm not super familiar with the platform. Is Inkit purely like an online blog, or is it also like have a like membership
It's
type features where people can pay for
oh
certain
no,
things?
you don't have to pay for anything,
It's all free.
and yeah, it's all free, and it's pretty much a site where people can write their books, write
Okay,
whatever kind of books you think in your mind, and just put
cool,
it out there.
awesome. So it's really like a play, and then can people leave like comments and like live
Yeah.
for people like engage, and they can say what parts they like, right?
Yeah, in fact, when I went back to look over the originals, I found that the second Raziel Chronicles book, the original version,
Mhm.
um, had the most reactions out of the entire series.
The second one did.
Hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. Then that tells you that right, the material in the second one is clearly the reader's favorites.
Yeah, they'll show you,
Hmm.
some of, I guess, the emojis people use for reactions, or they'll show you a comment where certain things that people commented about, and altogether they'll on below they'll give you like a chart of uh, what seemed better for them. Like for instance, on that it was like it had good They said it had good writing, good characters, had suspense in it and stuff like that. And it always feels good to see those
Mm-hmm.
because it
You
feels
know,
like
crazy. If I were you, I think what I would do in your position is I would put together. So going through a second edition, I would go through like a couple of the books, put them together as a single new volume, rebranded as you could say the second edition or like the new volume. Kind of how like fantasy series will like put together things and call it like a collection, and then
yeah,
publish that as as a new original work, and then use that to generate some revenue because you've
yeah,
already built a fan base. People want to read it for free. There's already a free option.
yeah, and that is partially my plan is to
Mm-hmm.
take all the Raziel books and combine them into one into the
Mm-hmm.
second edition
That's
and
cool.
combine all of them to one, and maybe as I've just been doing is adding more details to certain places where it just seems to be missing.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely good luck with that, Crazy. And if you're ever needing feedback, you're always more than welcome to submit to the critique stream.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then so that's I think that's everything that we got for today. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. As always, this has been an excellent writers group. We always have fun
Thank you.
chatting about writing, shenanigans, and all the things that are on our mind. We'll be back next Wednesday, same time, same place, 4 Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Come join us, whether you're going to hop in the chat or come hop on stream. This is a place where we can just stay motivated, and that's the vibe. I'll be back tomorrow with another daily writing sprint stream. Tomorrow's Thursday. I think I did a TBD because I didn't figure out my schedule. I forgot. Trying to my version of giving my version of taking a breather or a vacation is I just don't announce the time.
That works. That works.
Well, over 600. I'm gonna keep doing the dailies until I finish Scarecrow at least. That's like my milestone I need to hit, and then I'll reconsider daily, and we'll see how I'm feeling.
There we go.
So I'll be back at some point tomorrow for writing shenanigans. But thank you so much for joining us, everyone. It's been great. Glad you were all able to get a little bit of progress in today, and that's all we got for you. I'm Kaufman, and these guys are
Chat Soul.
I'm Kira Hartley.
Crazy root beer.
and we'll catch you on the next stream. Take care, friends. Stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. It's time to write.
Right now.
Sorry.
Right now, not right now, but right now. Read now, right now. Is that right?
Words are wind, but stories are